Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for tuning in. Today we have a pretty special car here. We have a 2019 Ferrari 488 Pista, and we're going to be going over the Apple CarPlay integration and user review. On this generation of mid-engine V8 Ferrari, which is the 488 GTB, Spider, and the Pista, CarPlay was an optional extra. I believe the 488s could get it as early as 2016. It was an a la carte option, and if you did spec it, basically the only differences on the interior are going to be on this right doggle system here, which this controls the right screen, and this left one here controls the left screen. CarPlay is only going to show up on this right screen here, and it's controlled with this control center here. Basically, these three buttons here have a different layout on cars without this option. So you have a back menu button, back main button, options, and a dedicated CarPlay button here. So let's go ahead and turn on the car to get started with the review. All right, so let's turn on the ignition. And so while everything is booting up, I'm going to turn our attention down here. Sorry for the beeps. So we do have a USB port here as well as up here. This one is just for charging. To use CarPlay, you have to use this one, as you can see, has the symbol. We recommend using a Apple-sourced white wire, but this wire here that this owner has works just as well. And if we were to go ahead and look at this screen here and click the Apple CarPlay button, it just gives us a little prompt that nothing is connected and that we have to connect device for it to show up. Anywhere else in the system, CarPlay does not show up. The only way to actually get it on the screen is by clicking this dedicated button on this generation of car. I think the newer Ferraris, they might have implemented it a little bit differently. I know it's now, I believe, a standard feature on the 2020 models and up. So let's go ahead and plug the phone in. The phone I am using is a 12 Pro, the normal sized one. So I'm going to plug it in. You can see it charges. I'm going to unlock it. And you want to set this where it allows while the phone is locked. Then once you do that, nothing automatically appears on that screen. You have to then go ahead and click that Apple CarPlay button. And that will bring it straight up to that screen. And I'm not sure of the inches on that screen. I will have to look it up. It looks like something like, I would say maybe 5 inches diagonally. Could be a little bit smaller. I would say that, you know, from a driver's perspective, it is small, but it's just enough. I have no problem reading everything on that screen, and the resolution is very, very, very high, which helps with that. Let me get a better shot for you guys there. Now, using this screen, you have to use this control knob here. There's absolutely no controls on the wheel. There's no voice control on the wheel. The only way, I believe, to get voice controls to work would be to have Hey Siri active. So let's give that a shot. Hey Siri. It does work, as you can see. It doesn't show up on the phone, but you do have the little spear there. So you have to make sure that your Hey Siri feature is active on your phone. All right, so moving on from voice controls. Now to physically control this screen, like I said, you have this knob, but you do have the ability to move it in 4 directions, kind of like an Audi MMI knob, if you guys have seen some of my videos on that model or those cars. So yeah, let's go back to the screen, and basically when you twirl it or twist it, that's going to go through things in kind of like a top-down order, and you can see you just get the highlight. Or if you wanted a more direct route, so let's say we're on phone and you want to get down to news, you have to physically click it and then click it down, and then you press it in, and that's how you select. Overall, it's a pretty easy way of navigating the interface, especially on a car interior that definitely was not designed for it. While driving, I would say it's probably not the most intuitive. Obviously, I'm not going to try that out on this car, but they did a pretty decent job integrating it as well as they could. And like I said, as far as resolution and being able to read everything, if I were to load up Google Maps here, from, you know, a driver's perspective, it's just enough. It's, you know, as long as your eyesight is decent, because obviously things like the street names and font are going to be somewhat small on such a small screen. But it is very, very readable. Like I said, as long as you have decent vision. And I love the way it's integrated into the dashboard, the gauge cluster, I guess you can say, where most other cars I've reviewed, CarPlay is only in this area with the central screen, but because this car doesn't have that, everything is done inside the cluster, it's actually very unique. I believe that, you know, Lamborghinis and the R8 and the Audi TT have the virtual cockpit with no center screen, and they're also in the same category as this car, where you actually do get CarPlay in the gauge cluster, which they don't allow on normal cars. Let's go over to Spotify real quick. Basically, you have your normal controls, and you can play, pause, and skip from here, but you also have a volume rocker right here, and if you tap this in, that will also automatically pause or play the song by muting it. Again, no way to skip tracks from the steering wheel. Actually, there are buttons behind the wheel. Hold on, excuse me. Almost like a Chrysler product, there are two little buttons on each side, and up and down, and I believe that that is going to skip tracks, and the center button doesn't seem to do anything, but the up and down does skip. And then the left side is your volume rocker, and again, the center button doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, sorry, the center button is your voice. There we go. So I learned something new right here in front of you guys. So you click in behind the steering wheel. Let's see if I can get a view. Looks just like, you know, a Mopar Chrysler product button. So they did at one point have a joint, you know, relationship. So they did utilize that. But yes, so on the left side, to summarize, you have volume controls and your voice control. You hold that down in the center. And then your right side, you have your track skip ability, which is awesome. Now, one last thing to note is on the physical controls here, there's absolutely no way to get back to the Ferrari menu with physical buttons. If you click this back or main button, it's going to bring you back basically one step until you get to the home menu, and then you click it again and it's going to bring it to that split view. The Apple CarPlay button does the exact same thing. It's going to switch between your kind of icons and your split view. Now, to get to the Ferrari menu, let's say you wanted to listen to the radio or do something else, you have to use this knob here, and you have to actually go ahead and select where it shows the Ferrari app and click the knob down. That is the only way to get out of CarPlay. Otherwise, you're stuck in CarPlay. And again, once you know that, it's not too bad of a hiccup or a dilemma, but it's good to know, because otherwise you'd probably be very confused on how to actually get back to the Ferrari menu. That being said, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. Take care.